where we cut through the confusion and guide you every step of the way.
Florida Probate Fees and Costs 2025. What executors must know. Welcome back to Clear Probate, where we simplify Florida probate so families can focus on what matters most. Today we're covering one of the most urgent questions that executors and families have. How much does probate really cost in Florida? This is one of the areas that causes the most confusion and stress. Attorneys are often vague when asked, and the answers online are scattered and incomplete. In this video, you'll get a clear breakdown of every cost you can expect in Florida probate in 2025, from filing fees to attorney's fees, from hidden expenses to the big-ticket items that drain estates the fastest. By the end, you'll know not only what the average costs are, but also who actually pays, and how to reduce them when possible. Why probate costs matter. When someone passes away, family members are already dealing with grief. On top of that, they have to manage paperwork, deadlines, and costs. Probate costs matter because they come directly out of the estate before any heirs receive their share. That means every dollar spent on probate is one less dollar that goes to the family. Executors often underestimate this, and heirs are often shocked when they realize how much has been spent by the time probate ends. Understanding the costs upfront allows you to set realistic expectations for everyone involved. Court filing fees. Every probate case in Florida starts with court filing fees. These fees vary slightly from county to county, but you can generally expect to pay around $400 to $500 just to open the probate case. While this may not sound like much compared to other expenses, it's the very first cost the estate will face, and it's unavoidable. In addition, there may be smaller filing fees for petitions, certified copies, and other required documents throughout the case. These can add another $100 to $200 over the course of probate. Attorney's fees. Attorney's fees are the single largest cost in most Florida probate cases. By law, attorneys are entitled to reasonable compensation. In practice, many follow a percentage scale based on the value of the estate. A common benchmark is 3% of the first $1 million in estate value. So for an estate worth $500,000, attorney's fees could easily reach $15,000. For a $1 million estate, $30,000 is not unusual. Some attorneys charge flat fees or hourly rates instead. Flat fees might range from $3,000 for very simple cases to $10,000 or more for complex ones. Hourly billing usually runs between $200 and $400 per hour, depending on the attorney's experience. Executors should always ask upfront how fees are structured and should request a written fee agreement. This is one of the best ways to avoid surprises later. Personal representative compensation. Executors, called personal representatives in Florida, are also entitled to compensation. State law provides guidelines, usually around 3% of the estate's value for ordinary services. For a $300,000 estate, that would be $9,000 in executor fees. If the executor performs extraordinary services, such as managing a business or handling litigation, the court can approve additional compensation. Many executors who are also heirs choose to waive this fee, since they will receive a share of the estate anyway. But if you are serving as executor and you are not a beneficiary, or if the estate requires a lot of hands-on work, it's important to know that you are legally entitled to this compensation. Accounting and appraisal costs. Probate often requires professional valuations. Real estate appraisals typically cost several $100s, but if the estate includes multiple properties, costs multiply quickly. For valuable collections, antiques, or jewelry, professional appraisers may be needed, and fees can climb into the thousands. Estates of significant size also require accountants or CPAs to file final tax returns, handle estate tax issues if they apply, or assist with complex financial reporting. These costs vary, but can easily add another few $1,000s to the total bill. Publication and notice costs. Florida law requires that executors publish a notice to creditors in a local newspaper. This notice must run once a week for 2 consecutive weeks. Depending on the newspaper, this can cost anywhere from $100 to $300. Executors must also send notice by mail to all known creditors, which means paying for certified mail-in copies. It's not the most expensive part of probate, but it is required, and skipping it can cause serious delays. Real estate costs. When estates include property, costs rise significantly. Executors must keep insurance active on any homes, pay property taxes, and maintain utilities. If a home is vacant, there may also be costs for lawn care, security, or property management. If the home is sold during probate, Realtor commissions are typically around 6% of the sale price, plus closing costs. For a $400,000 home, that's $24,000 in realtor fees alone. Real estate can quickly become the largest single category of expenses in probate. Executors who plan ahead, by keeping insurance current, communicating with heirs about timelines, and coordinating with realtors early, can reduce the overall burden. Hidden and miscellaneous costs. On top of the big-ticket items, there are always smaller costs that catch executors by surprise. These include locksmith services to secure property, storage fees for belongings, moving expenses, postage for mailing official documents, and certified copies of court orders. Executors who live out of state may also need to cover travel expenses for court appearances or meetings. While each of these costs may be small individually, together they can add up to thousands of dollars. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe to Clear Probate. We post new videos every week to walk Florida families through probate step by step, so you never feel lost in the process. Who pays probate costs? A critical question families ask is, who actually pays probate costs? The answer is that all approved probate expenses are paid from the estate itself before heirs receive their inheritance. Executors do not personally pay probate expenses out of their own pocket unless they choose to front the money temporarily and then reimburse themselves from the estate. If the estate does not have enough assets to cover all debts and costs, the court prioritizes payments. Funeral expenses, administrative costs, and taxes are paid before heirs receive anything. This can be disappointing for families expecting larger inheritances, but it's the legal order of payment. How probate costs affect heirs. High probate costs mean smaller inheritances. For example, consider a $200,000 estate. Attorney's fees at 3% would be $6,000. Executor fees might be another $6,000. Appraisals and accounting could total $3,000. Add court filing fees and miscellaneous expenses of $1,000, and suddenly $16,000 of the estate is gone before heirs see a dollar. That's an 8% reduction. For larger estates, the dollar amounts grow dramatically, even if the percentage stays the same. Executors need to be transparent with heirs about costs, so expectations are realistic. FAQs about probate costs. Can probate costs be negotiated? Yes. Attorneys may agree to flat fees instead of percentages, and executors can shop around for competitive rates. Can probate costs be waived? Some smaller costs can be minimized, but most major expenses, like filing fees and publication, are mandatory. What happens if the estate runs out of money? In that case, heirs receive nothing until expenses are paid. The court may close the estate as insolvent, and creditors may not receive full payment either. Do executors ever pay out of pocket? Only if they choose to advance funds temporarily. They are entitled to reimbursement as long as expenses are reasonable and necessary. Real-world examples. Let's look at two real-world examples. Sarah was executor of her mother's modest estate in Tampa. The estate was worth about $180,000. Court filing fees were $450. Attorney's fees came to around $5,500. Accounting costs added $1,200, and appraisal of the home was another $500. Miscellaneous costs added $800. In total, probate expenses were about $8,500, nearly 5% of the estate. The process took 9 months, and the heirs received the remainder after costs. Now compare that to James, executor of a $1.2 million estate in Orlando. Attorney's fees alone reached $36,000. Executor compensation was $36,000 as well. Real estate commissions on selling 2 properties totaled $45,000. Accounting and appraisal costs added another $7,500. In the end, probate expenses exceeded $125,000, more than 10% of the estate. While heirs still received significant inheritances, the costs were a shock to the family. These examples show how dramatically probate costs can scale with estate size and complexity. Reducing probate costs. Executors aren't powerless. There are ways to reduce costs. The first is to be organized. Collecting documents early, keeping careful records, and responding quickly to attorney and court requests all shorten the timeline. The second is to hire wisely. An attorney who offers a flat fee instead of a percentage may save the estate thousands. The third is to plan ahead with real estate. Selling quickly reduces carrying costs. Executors should also ask attorneys and accountants directly, is this expense necessary, or is there a cheaper alternative? Many professionals will work with you to keep costs reasonable if you ask. Probate always has a price, but the more informed you are, the smoother the process will be. From filing fees and attorney's fees to real estate commissions and hidden expenses, understanding costs upfront makes the journey less stressful. If this video helped you, subscribe to Clear Probate and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. And here's today's question. Which probate expense do you think surprises families the most? Share your answer below and we may cover it in a future video.
This helped bring clarity to your situation. Hit that like button and subscribe for more guidance.